Greetings, friends. I hope this finds you well. I learned this week at the Executive Council meeting of the Pittsburgh Presbytery that some churches have opened their sanctuary doors on Sundays for in-person worship, while others continue to offer services only remotely, with no plans to open anytime soon. Sadly, many churches are conflicted over this issue. I am grateful that our congregation is not in conflict. We are working together well, thoughtfully, respectfully, and patiently. And yet, we do have different opinions. In our last survey, while the majority of you indicated that you still did not feel safe coming for a service inside the sanctuary, there are some of you who are feeling impatient and ready to get back to worship. I hear you. And I long to be back together for worship too. It is not nearly as fun or fulfilling to preach to empty pews and not talking with you after the service. But be assured that members of the task force and staff have begun meeting weekly to consider the possibilities of worshiping indoors and how to reopen the church sanctuary safely for worship. But even if we were to go back today, it would not be the same worship experience, as General Presbyter Sheldon Sorge reminded all of the churches in his message this week. When we gather again in the sanctuary in the shadow of the pandemic, we face a great challenge. It may be possible to keep things relatively safe by arranging for people to sit separately while they listen to the preacher. However, to avoid spreading the virus, we must eliminate almost all immediate response to the word. We can extend each other no embrace, no passing of the peace, no laying on of hands, no sharing of one bread and common cup, bulletins and hymnals, and so on. To avoid airborne viral spread, we must eliminate singing and liturgical responses. In our present circumstances, worship in the sanctuary, he says, is of necessity almost entirely passive. It is more of an event that we attend than an activity we engage. So how do we worship with integrity at such a time as this? Well, let's remember that in the Bible, worship is not something we go to, but something we do. It is not a noun, but a verb. So while we are physically apart, I encourage you to continue tuning in to our live stream worship each Sunday morning. But don't stop there. That's only the beginning of the week. Let your worship not just be the place you go, even if only your living room couch, but let worship be something that you do throughout the rest of the week. How? In a book called An Altar in the World, Barbara Brown Taylor claims that we can worship anytime, anywhere. She writes, "How then should I pray? When I fretted over people I knew who were in trouble, so that my worry for them followed me around all day like a hungry dog, was that prayer? When I cooked dinner for people in need, thinking about them while I chopped the turnip greens and mashed the sweet potatoes, was that prayer? When I went outside after everyone had gone to bed and moaned at the moon because I could not come up with the right words to say what was in my heart, was that prayer?" Prayer is not the same as prayers, she says. Prayers are important. So, going to the church where I can add my voice to those of a whole congregation, aiming to woo God's ears with their ancient, beautiful cadences. Still, prayer is more than saying set prayers at set times. Prayer is waking up to the presence of God, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. When I am fully alert to whatever or whoever is right in front of me. When I am electrically aware of the tremendous gift of being alive. When I am being able to give myself wholly to the moment I'm in, then I am in prayer. And I would say, then we are in worship. Friends, we will soon be sharing our plans for the upcoming months of worship in the sanctuary. But in the meantime, I hope you will continue to join us online and Friday Vespers for corporate prayers. And I hope that you will practice prayer right where you are, fully awake and gratefully alive in God's presence. So friends, let us worship God.